Today, I'm here with Adrien Hinse from Hinse Brothers Mechanical, and spring is fast approaching in the Edmonton and Sherwood Park areas. And today we want to talk about spring preparation because there are some things that go wrong in the plumbing field. Seems to be this time of year, and we're going to be discussing some of those things. So, Adrien, one thing that I was thinking about with all of the snow melt and all the drainage that happens off of your roof and off of your yard and driveway is your sump pump. So let's talk about sump pumps.
Yeah, sump pumps at this time of year become a bit of an issue. So I strongly recommend people out there get down into your basement. If you do have a sump pit, you want to check your pump operation, right? So a simple way you can do that, pop the lid off. Basically, get a coat hanger or something and make sure there's some water at the bottom, or you could add some water with a hose or whatever, fill up your tank till it sets off your pump. So if there's water, about at least 8 inches or something like that, you can turn on your pump by just lifting the float. So there's a float mechanism in there. You just want to lift that up about, as high as the pump is. Should activate the pump, make sure it's working, sounds good. Strongly recommend a replacement, if it's been 10 years. Commonly, pumps have like a 2 to 3 year warranty on them. The ones we supply do have a 5-year warranty. They're hard to find with a 5-year warranty. But if they're working hard, I recommend, I've seen them run 20 years longer. But if they're working hard, as a safety precaution, it's a good idea to change it regularly, about 10 years or so. So just monitor it. If it's going off at all hours of the day in the spring and fall, or whenever it's raining, it's a good idea to get it checked out.
Yeah, no, for sure. And what are some common mistakes that people do with their sump pumps, do or don't do, in preparation for winter that could give them problems in the springtime?
Some of the main issues, just you want to make sure there's adequate drainage for your sump pump. So if it's basically pumping out and your underground drain isn't working, or the water's just kind of pouring back in around your foundation, that's a common issue. Another one too is power outages. If there's power outages, if they're common in your neighborhood, there's a backup sump pump you can get.
Okay.
So you can get, about 4 or 5 hours runtime off a battery. So that saves a lot of people. If you've got a nicely finished basement and you don't want that to flood, it's good to have a backup. Like if you're prone to having water issues, definitely consider it.
All right. So you guys supply and install sump pumps with battery backups in the Edmonton and Sherwood Park areas?
Yes, absolutely.
Nice. Great. And how long does that usually take to install?
How to change a sump pump, we're looking at like less than an hour.
Okay.
Right? Come there, take it out, put the new one in, give it a test, make sure it's working properly. Takes about an hour. Probably 2 to 3 hours depending on your setup if you're doing a backup sump pump.
Yeah. Okay.
With a battery backup.
Right.
So you will need to have power outlet right there. That's going to trickle charge your battery, maintain the charge in it. It's a deep cycle battery. And then, if the power goes out, it's going to work on that battery operated 12-volt pump.
Nice. Question for you. How often do you have to replace those batteries on those battery backup sumps?
Well, we could test the battery regularly, but, typically 4 or 5 years. Just want to monitor the voltage, make sure it's proper every year. Check it out, right?
Okay, so just give it a test every year, and if not, just get it.
Yeah, and test it right before you're going into spring is probably your best bet, right?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Now, what is the other item that we wanted to talk about today? You're actually noticing a lot of things are happening with water heaters. What's going on with water heaters, and what's the common failure, and what's the fix?
I don't know what it is, but this time of year, there's been a lot of calls for water heaters leaking or stopping, like they just stop working. commonly if they have a power vent, so there's a fan on top of your water heater that's blowing the exhaust outside, that say your venting wasn't graded properly, it's not draining properly, it could ice up and it's hard on the blower motor. So that could be an issue, or just when they're working really hard in the wintertime, especially, it seems the blowers start to fail. But lately we've been having a lot of water leaks from tanks. So it's a great idea to check out, just check out your mechanical room, right? Do an inspection, make sure there's no leaks coming from any of the pipes. A common culprit is a connection to your humidifier.
Okay.
So those guys can leak if it's a needle valve or whatever it may be. So it's just, I always tell people, make it a common occurrence every couple of weeks or every week, do a little walkthrough of your mechanical room when you're home. If you're out of town, good idea to shut your water supply off. Turn down your water heater a little bit to low or something like that. And just, mitigate any potential catastrophe if you're away from home as well.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. And let's say somebody does have an issue with their water heater. How much of a hassle is it to change that out? What's the process like? How long does it take?
So typical water heater replacements, 2.5, 3 hours. We have to come, usually we'll ask the customer for pictures. So we're going to want your model number, a picture from further back so we can have a look at how it was vented. Current code today, if you have an atmospheric vented, meaning it's got a metal chimney coming off the top, is 4-inch. A lot of the older places will have a 3-inch vent. So it's not a big deal. We do have to replace that to 4-inch to make sure it's up to code. We want to measure the space that it's in, make sure that the new tank, because a lot of the newer tanks seem to be a little bit larger because of more insulation, trying to increase efficiency. We need to make sure the new tank is going to work in the space of the old tank.
Make sure it's going to fit.
Yeah. And then, we've got clients that are just like, you know what, I've got this great big bathtub and I have to fill it, wait 45 minutes, fill it the rest of the way. We do have larger tanks and we do have tankless water heater options as well. The tankless water heaters, it's a little more involved. You're about a day to do the installation. We need to run new venting pipes outside your sidewall typically. We need to make sure there's enough gas supply. So oftentimes we'll have to upsize a gas line or pull from the meter. So it all depends. Usually if you book a site visit with me, I'll kind of come over and we'll go over your needs, what's most important for you, cost effectiveness, things like that. Typically I don't, tankless water heaters are high efficiency when they're operating. They're using about 95% of the heat to heat the water. They do require a lot of gas right up front.
Yeah.
So when it's, especially in Alberta and in the wintertime, our water can be, like 4 degrees or whatever it is, really cold. And we've got to get that up to 120, 130 degrees. It takes a lot of gas to get it there, right? So I typically, from an efficiency standpoint, that's not the main idea for me when I suggest putting one in. It's if you need a lot of hot water. If you need to fill a tub and still have hot water afterwards, lots of people having showers, whatever it may be. Also, there's a limit on what a tankless water heater can do, right? So in order to keep the temperature high, it can only do so many gallons per minute, they call it, right? So in the wintertime, you're getting maybe about 5.5 gallons per minute, whereas a water tank will supply a higher gallons per minute.
Okay. So it really is dependent upon flow.
Yeah, and how many fixtures are going to be used at the same time, right? I had one client, the older tanks, they would just reduce the heat and maintain pressure. So maybe you didn't get quite as hot of water, but it maintained pressure. Newer units maintain heat by lowering pressure.
Okay.
So if your pressure's down a little bit, it could be you're using too many things at once. I had a client who's like, you know what? I like to turn my dishwasher on, turn the wash on, fill my tub, And what was the other thing? Yeah, it was the three big things all at once. It's not keeping up. We just got this new water heater.
Yeah.
So that's just something to keep in, like.
Yeah, if you want to do all the things at once, that's a problem.
Yeah, there's different things we can do. Sure, so you can do multiple units, whatever. So it's a good idea to book a consultation, come in and have a look at your needs and kind of what it would take to get you into a different piece of equipment.
All right, so we've talked about sump pumps and we've talked about water heaters. What is something else that maybe I missed or not thinking about for spring preparation for people's plumbing and HVAC systems?
Spring preparation, it's a good time if you're thinking about starting a project. Good time to do your planning in the winter. You want to do a gas line to your garage. If you want to do an addition on your home, it's a good idea to get the preliminary legwork done in the winter.
Yeah, right now. So you can get your permitting started with the city of Edmonton.
Permitting takes time.
Yeah,
for sure.
And also Strathcona County permitting. So if you want to get that done, now's the time to pre-plan and have a meeting with you to discuss their needs, what they're looking for, so you can apply for appropriate permits, as well as make sure you're giving them options and selecting the right equipment, right? All right. So besides planning, hot water tanks, sump pumps, is there anything we're missing? Anything people should know about Hinse Brothers Mechanical and spring prep?
Hose bibs are a big thing. So I'd say frost-free hose bibs. First thing to do is, early in the spring, you want to test them. I always recommend people have a shut-off valve in the house. Just an added precaution to be able to shut it off. They're meant to be able to go through the winter without having an extra shut-off because there's a little plug that is in the warm side of the house. However, if, they malfunction a little bit, they bypass a little bit of water, you'd have issues if you get water inside the faucet itself and it freezes, it'll bulge and basically leak, make a big mess.
Cause a problem. Okay.
Big problem, yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think that's all for my questions. If you guys are looking for some help with your HVAC plumbing in the Sherwood Park or Edmonton areas, of course, look at Hinse Brothers Mechanical. They've got the right techs. They've got the experience. They've got amazing reviews from their clients. So give them a call if you're in Edmonton, Sherwood Park, or Beaumont. And thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you on the next video.
Thank you.